Hi, I'm Heather Larson. Today I want to talk to you about what I learned in educating students with exceptionalities, the disabilities, characteristics, and how I would accommodate them in my future classroom. Albert Einstein was quoted saying, "Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid." We do not want our students to feel stupid. We want them to feel empowered, engaged, and that they have the tools necessary to be successful through their educational career and beyond. So that is why it's so important that we specialize education around these students. Education is not a privilege, it is a right, and it is our job as educators to make sure that we give those resources to the students and that they are successful. Throughout the course, we learned of about 10 disabilities or exceptionalities, and they are learning disabilities, communication disorders, emotional and behavioral disorders, ADHD, intellectual disabilities, autism, traumatic brain injury, visual impairments, hearing loss, and those students who are gifted and talented. What I would like to do now is discuss how I would accommodate each of these characteristics or disabilities within the classroom. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that if there was a 504 or an IEP, that I would follow those to the request of the individuals who put those documents together. And we will just assume that these students have those in place as well. But first of all, let's look at learning disabilities. Students who have learning disabilities may have dyslexia or some math disability where they don't comprehend the math skills that are being presented. They also have memory difficulty as well. These students in my classroom would receive Orton Gillingham approach strategies, especially for those dyslexic students, following Scarborough's rope, following those things that have been taught through science of reading will all aid in helping them bridge the gap they have between their learning disability and then also where we're trying to get them to reach their goals. Having instructions presented orally to them rather than giving them instructions to read on their own so they know the exact expectation of the assignments and what's expected of them and the outcomes. Also, allowing these students to have additional time to complete their assignments or testing would be very helpful because it does take them a bit longer to understand and comprehend what they are reading. Moving on to communication disabilities, these students might have difficulty with articulation or fluency, or they might be English as second language students, ESL students who have just maybe immigrated to the area and they're learning how to communicate with the English language. So for these students, using technology or one-on-one presentations might be very helpful. In a tier 2 setting, I might pull them in and work on vocabulary using pictures and bolstering their vocabulary of what things are, as well as working on fluency drills to help that articulation. Emotional and behavioral disorder students are ones who might have difficulty managing emotions. You might see impulsiveness or problems with interpersonal or social behavior. So, with these individuals, checking in and out with them on a regular basis will be a vital key. Maybe they didn't get breakfast that morning, and I know that that's a trigger. So when I check in with them, I know that you know what we need to get them something to eat before there is an emotional or behavioral problem later on, and that will help me to kind of curb what might come later on. Praising the positive would be very important for these students. They are always told no or stop doing that, correct a behavior, but when they are doing something positive, I want to really praise them for that. And then implementing an SOS notebook. I do this at home with my own child. If he has an issue or if there's something going on that's bothering him, rather than giving an outburst or yelling and screaming about it, he writes it down in an SOS notebook. I know exactly where he's coming from, where his mind is at. I read through that when he presents it to me, and then we can go back and discuss. And it really helps to give a space of time to calm down and to be able to get on the same page. ADHD is another disorder we discussed. These students have difficulty keeping still, they're impulsive, they blurt out, and they have difficulty listening to the complete set of directions. For these students, providing non-distractive spaces to learn, giving them small breaks so that they can move around and fidget, a clear schedule, and providing things like fidgets to where they can have their hands moving and doing things that they're used to doing, but still paying attention and learning. Intellectual disabilities come into play. You might have a child who might be distracting to others in class with maybe making different noise or gestures. They have trouble with social cues, deficiency in memory or motivation as well. So providing these students with a para who could be one-on-one with them, helping them to remain on task and helping them to be motivated, giving extra breaks, adapting materials maybe to their level, or maybe utilizing more picture-based material versus words, and then bringing in again that community-based instruction where everyone would be involved in their learning as well from home to school. Autism is a wide range of, there's a wide spectrum there. They could be high functioning, low functioning. They could be someone who has a very good vocabulary, and others who are non-speaking. So really understanding what level that child is with autism is vital to start preparing and customizing strategies around their learning. You might see repetitive speech, excessive reliance on routines. They don't want to get out of routine, and fixated interest. So utilizing those fixated interests and adapting their content around those things. If they love trucks, let's do lessons and math problems with trucks or wheels or whatever it might be. Allowing them opportunities to take extra breaks, working in a sensory retreat space as well is very helpful. And then also maybe providing a low distraction work area with headphones or things of that nature. Traumatic brain injury are students who have this might have motor impairments, difficulty with self-care, and complex communication needs. So utilizing, again, a para, maybe some technology that would help with the communication barrier, providing a person-centered planning, and then step-by-step instructions to these students will be very helpful in their success. Students with visual impairment are very limited on how they can see their environment, and they might have poor self-esteem or motivation. There also is a wide range of impairment in this section as well. Having a bright room, looking at the student are great ways to accommodate them. One thing I really want to point out is that if I do have a student with a visual impairment, I would like to give them an opportunity on their own, one-on-one, to have a tour of the classroom, be able to familiarize them with where everything is at in the classroom, feel their way through it, that they would get super comfortable so that when there are students there, they just know the classroom very, very well, and they can feel like that is their own space without wondering when people are in there where everything is at. Hearing loss also is there's a wide spectrum there. You might see students who have maybe a hearing device like a cochlear implant. They might use ASL to communicate, or they might read lips to communicate as well. Speaking slowly, not covering my mouth will be important. Using slides with directions on them, or the closed caption on videos. Those are all things that would be very helpful for these individuals to see and utilize their sight rather than their hearing. And then learning sign language. I do know a little bit of sign language, but learning more would be very helpful to be able to speak and communicate with these students. And then finally, gifted and talented students. Really here you see some high general intellect. They're creative thinkers. They're very talented in a lot of areas. Maybe they're musically inclined. And then they do have leadership abilities. So cluster grouping these children to work together so that they can work on something maybe at a different level or a different pace than other students, differentiating the instruction, and teach creative and critical thinking skills, and giving them hands-on opportunities are a vital piece of the puzzle for these students to be successful. Applying differentiated instruction will allow students to find their own path and learn in an environment that suits their needs, level of knowledge, and interest. We are not talking about cookie cutter instruction straight from the curriculum right into the classroom. We want to make sure that we are considering our students' needs, considering their advancement or their struggles, considering how we can help them excel in every way. So as a teacher, that is absolutely my job, is to give them that special education that they need. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you learned a little bit more and enjoyed the presentation on what I learned in this class this semester. Thank you.